there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. Thanks for stopping by. This is episode number 77. Robert Max here. Hope everyone's doing well. And we got Strat-O-Matic baseball on the table again. Continuation of the Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. This is game 19, which has the current Kings, the 1961 Cincinnati Reds, hosting the 1965 Minnesota Twins. Take a quick look at the status of the Hill before we get to the starting lineups. As you can see, the 53 Dodgers are next in line, and they'll have a crack at the winner of this one. And we should know who that is within the next 45 minutes or so. All right. Starting lineups. First for the visiting 1965 Minnesota Twins, leading off at shortstop, Zoilo Versalles. Batting second in center field, Jimmy Hall. Batting third, Tony Oliva in right field. Batting fourth, Harmon Killebrew. He's at third base. Batting fifth, left fielder Bob Allison. Batting sixth, catcher Earl Batty. Batting seventh, first baseman Don Mincher. Batting eighth, second baseman Jerry Kindle. And batting ninth in pitching is Camilo Pascal. He is, or was, I should say, in 1965. His numbers are 9 wins, 3 losses, a 3.35 ERA, and 156 innings pitched. He is a number 3 hitting pitcher, so we will place that card for him in the lineup. Now for the current Kings, the 1961 Cincinnati Reds, leading off at second base is Don Blasingame. Batting second at shortstop, Eddie Casco. Batting third in center field, Vada Pinson. Frank Robinson, Robinson bats fourth. He's in right field. Wally Post is in left field. He bats fifth. Batting sixth, third baseman Gene Freese. Batting seventh, first baseman Gordy Coleman. Batting eighth, catcher John Edwards. And on the mound and batting ninth is pitcher Bob Perkey. In 1961, he was 16-12 with a 3.73 ERA, 246 innings of work. He's a number 1 hitting pitcher, so we will replace that card, or the number 1 hitting pitcher's card, with his card in the lineup. All right, Versalles is ready. Perky's finished his warm-up tosses. And I'm ready, so let's get underway. Here we go. And Versalles is robbed of a single on a line drive right at Don Blasingame, who makes a great play, and there is 1 out. Here's center fielder Jimmy Hall. And another great defensive play, this time by Gene Freese. He nabs a laser hit by Hall for the second out. So 2 line shots right at the infielders. And there are 2 away with nobody on for Tony Oliva. But he's not going to be denied, because Oliva gets a 2-out double. So the Twins are in business with 2 away, and the killer coming up, third baseman Harmon Killebrew. But he hits a fly ball to right fielder Frank Robinson. He is on the track, makes the catch, and there's out number 3. So the Twins leave Oliva stranded at second. We got a half inning in the books, and the Twins nothing, and the Reds coming up to bat. Pascal gets his first fatigue point. Here's leadoff hitter, second baseman Don Blasingame. And that's a strikeout. It's 1 strikeout for Pascal. And there's 1 away for Eddie Casco. Nobody on. He hits a fly ball to left field. Allison's under that, and he makes the catch, and there are now 2 away. 2 outs, nobody on for Vada Pinson. And he pops this one up to the infield. Kindle's underneath that. Calls everyone else off, makes the catch. And the Reds go 1, 2, 3. So after one inning of play, we are scoreless. I said Pascal gets his first fatigue point, but it was actually Perky. And Pascal has his first fatigue point now. Okay, Bob Perky back out here for the top of the second. We are scoreless after one. And leading off for the Twins is Bob Allison. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Frank Robinson. Near the track, makes the catch, one away. So one out, nobody on for backstop Earl Batty. He pops this one up to the infield. Gordy Coleman, or no, excuse me, Gene Freeze is under that. Makes the catch right near the foul line. And there are two away. 2 outs, nobody on. First baseman Don Mincher. And that's a strikeout. First strikeout for Perky. And that's it for the Twins here in the top of the second. So after 1.5, we have no score. Perky gets his second fatigue point. And Camilo Pascal's back out for the bottom of the second. He's going to face Frank Robinson, Wally Post, and Gene Freeze. And that's a ground ball to second baseman Kindle. Fires over to Mincher for out number 1. So there's one away in the bottom of the second. Left fielder Wally Post. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Pascal. And there are 2 away here in the bottom of the second. Third baseman Gene Freeze. It's a ground ball to second baseman Kindle, but it's an X check. Kindle is a 2. And we roll a 6. And Kindle makes a nice play, fires over to Mincher for out number 3. So once again, the Reds go 1, 2, 3. We got 2 innings in the books, and we are scoreless. Pascal gets his second fatigue point. And Bob Perky is back out for the Reds here in the top of the third, and leading off is Jerry Kindle. It's a ground ball to shortstop Eddie Casco. Fires over to Gordy Coleman for out number 1. It's 1 out, nobody on for Pascal. Camilo Pascal, who is the pitcher for the Twins. And he strikes out. That's strikeout number 2 for Perky. And there are 2 away. Back to the top of the order, and Zoilo Versales. He's 0 for 1. This time he hits a fly ball to center fielder Veda Pinson. And he's under that, makes the catch for out number 3. So after 2.5 innings of play, we are still scoreless. Bob Perky gets his third fatigue point. And Camilo Pascal's back out here for the bottom of the third. And it's going to be the bottom of the order for the Reds. Coleman, Edwards, and pitcher Perky. Gordy Coleman hits a ground ball to third baseman Harmon Killebrew, and he fires over to Mincher for out number 1. It's 1 out, nobody on for catcher John Edwards. That's a fly ball to center fielder Hall. He is, and it's an X check. He is a 2. And we roll a 16. And he makes a good play. Diving catch. And there are 2 away. 2 outs, nobody on for Bob Perky, Reds pitcher. And look out, he hits a long fly ball to deep center, or excuse me, left field. Sends Bob Allison back to the track, back to the wall, but he makes the catch. A long, loud third out from pitcher Bob Perky. Gets the fans a little bit excited here in Cincinnati. Well, we got 3 innings in the books and no score. So Pascal gets his 3rd fatigue point. Perky, who almost took Pascal to the yard, is back out on the mound, and he's got Jimmy Hall leading off. He pops this one up to second baseman Don Blasingame for the first out here at the top of the 4th. Next is Tony Oliva. He had a 2-out double his last time up. This time he hits a fly ball to center fielder Veda Pinson on the track, makes the catch for out number 2. 2 outs, nobody on for Harmon Killebrew. Killebrew flew out to right field his first time up. This time he hits a ground ball to shortstop Eddie Casco, fires over to Gordy Coleman for out number 3. So we got 3.5 innings played and still no score. Perky gets his 4th fatigue point. And here's Pascal. He is at 3, coming out here for the bottom of the 4th. And it's back to the top of the order for the Reds. Don Blasingame, second baseman. And we got a leadoff single for Blasingame. First hit for the Reds here in the bottom of the 4th. So he's on first base. He's a stealing D. He's going to stay put. So we got Eddie Casco. Man on first, nobody out. It's a fly ball to center fielder Jimmy Hall. He's under that, makes the catch. Blasingame holds it first. There's 1 away. Your center fielder Veda Pinson. He's 0 for 1. This time he hits a fly ball to center fielder Jimmy Hall. Once again, he's under that, makes the catch, and now there are 2 away. With Blasingame on first and Frank Robinson coming up to bat. And that is a double by Frank Robinson, which may score Blasingame. We're going to have to check his run rating. He's a 1-15, but with 2 outs, that makes him a 1-17. And yeah, he's getting waved home. And he is in there safe. So a 2-out double by Frank Robinson. Give him his RBI. Scores Don Blasingame. And the Reds lead 1-0. So Pascal gets a 4th fatigue point for the run. So it's 2 outs with a man on second and Wally Post. And Post draws the 2-out walk. So now it's first and second with 2 outs. And third baseman Gene Freeze. Here in the bottom of the 4th, the Reds lead 1-0. And that's another walk to load the bases. My. Bases loaded with 2 outs. And first baseman Gordy Coleman. There's a little bit of movement going on in the Twins bullpen. And Pascal walks in a run. 3 walks in a row. My goodness. Have the wheels fallen off? Jim Perry's starting to warm up for the Twins. So the bases are still loaded with 2 outs, and now it's 2-0 because Pascal's getting his 5th fatigue point. Catcher John Edwards comes to the plate. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Reds lead 2-0. But Edwards hits a ground ball to second baseman Kindle, and he tosses over to Mincher for out number 3. But the Reds pick up 2 runs, and after 4 innings of play, it's the Reds 2 and Twins nothing. Pascal is going to get his 6th fatigue point for the completion of the inning. Perky's coming out. He's got 4 right now as we go to the top of the 5th. And Bob Allison for the Twins. And he lines one to third baseman Gene Freese. Another good play. Robs Allison of a hit. And there's 1 away. Perky's getting a lot of help from his defense so far in this game. 1 out, nobody on for catcher Earl Batty. And this is trouble. Batty hits a 1-out double. So he's on second with 1 out. Twins try to get something going here. Here's Don Mincher, first baseman. Man on second, 1 out. He draws a walk. So now it's first and second with 1 out for the Twins. And second baseman Jerry Kindle. And that's a strikeout for the 2nd out of the inning. Strikeout number 3 for Bob Perky. And there are 2 outs. The runners on first and second with 2 outs. And let's see, Pascal is at 6 fatigue points. I think I'm going to have to let him bat because, these 20-man rosters are... Well, you know what? No, we're going to pinch hit for him. Who knows if the Twins will get another chance to get on the board here. All right, so coming in the pinch hit for Pascal is going to be utility infielder Rich Rollins. So Pascal's responsible for those 2 runs. And Rollins is going to pinch hit for him here in the top of the 5th. And as I said, Jim Perry's warming up. He'll be ready to go for the bottom of the 5th. Okay, so man on first and second, or men on first and second, 2 outs, and pinch hitter Rich Rollins. And he hits a fly ball to center fielder Veda Pinson near the track. Under that, makes the catch for out number 3. So the Rollins experiment failed. Twins threaten, but can't get on the board. And after 4.5 innings of play, it's the Reds 2 and the Twins nothing. All right. So Perky gets his 5th fatigue point. Pascal's day is done. New pitcher for the Twins is Jim Perry. In 1965, Jim Perry was 12-7 with a 2.63 ERA and 168 innings pitched. He's a number 2 pitcher hitting card, so that's already in the lineup. I just have to flip it over. And oops, that's not right. Looking at the wrong team. Sorry about that. Perry's going to be pitching. And I got to replace that card with the pitcher's hitting card number 2. Sorry about that, folks. All right. All right. Now I think I have things back together. Okay, leading off for... Sorry about that. It's not the Twins. My goodness. Bob Perky's leading off for the Reds here in the bottom of the 5th. They lead 2-0. He's 0 for 1. This time he hits a fly ball to right fielder Tony Oliva. It's an X check. Tony is a 2. We roll a 15. And that gets by Oliva out there, and he makes an error trying to recover the ball. And that's going to allow pitcher Bob Perky to move up to second. So it's scored a single plus an E9. So Perky's on second base with nobody out. We're back to the top of the order for the Reds. Let me write Perry's name in here. And the first batter he faced was Perky. All right, so be Perry. All right, so back to the top of the order. Don Blasingame, man on second, nobody out. Blasingame draws the walk. So that's going to make it first and second. Nobody out for the Reds. And Eddie Casco. Casco is 0 for 2. And he draws a walk. What's going on with this Minnesota pitching? Bases are loaded with nobody out. And they're going to have to bring the infield in. Bases loaded, nobody out. Veda Pinson. 5-3. It's a fly ball to left field. It's Bob Allison. It's an X check. He's a 3. We roll a 7. And he makes the play, but it's going to allow the runners to advance one base. So that's a 7 for the first out. It's going to score Perky and allow Casco to move up to second and Blasingame to third. So it's second and third with 1 out. And Jim Perry picks up his first fatigue point. And the Reds pick up another run and now lead 3-0. So it's second and third with 1 out. Infield still in for Frank Robinson. And Robinson hits a single. That's going to score Blasingame. Now it's 4-0. Robinson picks up his second RBI. And Casco's going to hold it third. So it's first and third. Still only 1 out. Wally Post, and the infield is still in. Perry picks up his second fatigue point. He hasn't gotten off to a good start here. Yeah, but he gets a strikeout on Wally Post. Now there are 2 away. That's his first strikeout. And the Twins will send the infield back. Regular depth. So it's first and third with 2 outs and Gene Freeze. This is trouble. Freeze hits one into the left field corner. It bounces around. That's going to score 2 runs. And the floodgates have opened as Freeze slides into third base with a 2-out triple. And now the score is 5-0 in favor of the Reds. And my goodness, Perry gets 2 more fatigue points. He's up to 4 in his first inning. All right, 2 outs, a man on third. Infield's back, and this is Gordy Coleman. And Coleman strikes out. It's the second strikeout for Perry. But boy, did he have a rough inning. Excuse me, I said it was 5-0. It's 6-0 because the Reds scored 4 runs. And after 5 innings of play, it's the Reds 6 And the Twins nothing. Perry got his 5th fatigue point. Perky's coming back out here, of course. Now he's got quite a comfortable lead. And here in the top of the 6th, he's going to face the top of the order, Zoilo Versalis. Versalis is 0 for 2. So 4-4. He hits a fly ball to center fielder, Veda Pinson. It's going to be an X check. Pinson is a 2 and a roll an 18. And Pinson makes a nice diving catch for the first out. So there is one away here in the top of the 6th. Here's Jimmy Hall, center fielder for the Twins. And he lines one right at shortstop Eddie Casco for a quick out number 2. So 2 outs, nobody on for Tony Oliva. He's 1 for 2. He had a double in the first, but he was stranded there. And now he's 2 for 3 with a 2-out single. So Oliva's on first with 2 outs. Harmon Killebrew up the bat, and the Reds are leading 6-0. And that is a single by Killebrew, back-to-back singles. Oliva's going to be held up at third. And I shouldn't have marked that. It's men on the corners with 2 outs. And left fielder Bob Allison. And he strikes out. That is strikeout number 4 for Perky. Gets out of the jam. Twins threaten but can't get a man across. And after 5.5, hits the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. Perky gets his 6th fatigue point. Jim Perry's taking one for the team, staying out here. He's already at 5, so he's got a few more to go. Hopefully he doesn't give up any more runs. All right, leading off for the Reds here in the bottom of the 6th is catcher John Edwards. And he pops this one up to third baseman Harmon Killebrew. He calls everyone off, makes the catch, 1 away. Here's pitcher Bob Perky. He's cruising along. Perky is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. But this time he strikes out. That is strikeout number 3 for Perry, and there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Back to the top of the order for the Reds, and second baseman Don Blasingame, who is 1 for 2 with a couple of runs scored. This time he hits a fly ball to right fielder Tony Oliva, and he's under that, makes the catch for the 3rd out. So after 6 innings of play, it's the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. Jim Perry gets his 6th fatigue point. As a starter reliever, he only has 1 more before he's fatigued. All right, so here in the top of the 7th, Perky is at 6 fatigue points due to the shutout so far. And leading off for the Twins is catcher Earl Batty. And he strikes out. That's strikeout number 5 for Perky. And there's 1 away. First baseman Don Mincher. Mincher is 0 for 1 with a walk. This time he hits a fly ball to center fielder Veda Pinson, who makes the catch for out number 2. So 2 outs and nobody on for Jerry Kindle here in the top of the 7th. And he pops this one up to first baseman Gordy Coleman, he's near the foul line, makes the catch for the third out. And the Twins go quietly 1-2-3 in the top of the seventh. So after 6.5 innings of play, it's the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. Perry's back out, at least for now. And he's got Eddie Casco, Vada Pinson, and Frank Robinson to deal with here in the bottom of the seventh, with the Reds leading 6-0. And this is some leadoff trouble. It's a leadoff double for Eddie Casco. And there is some more activity in the Twins bullpen. Jim Merritt is warming up for the Twins. All right, so Casco's on second with nobody out. And Vada Pinson. And Pinson pops this one up to first baseman Don Mincher, who's under that, makes the catch for the first out. There's one out. Casco on second and Frank Robinson. And that's a strikeout. That's strikeout number 4 for Jim Perry. And they're 2 away here in the bottom of the seventh. So Eddie Casco's still on second with 2 outs, and Wally Post up to bat. And Post hits a ground ball to shortstop Zoilo Versalles. It's an X-check. Versalles is a 2. We roll a 14. And Versalles makes a nice play. From his knees, fires over to first base for the third out. So Eddie Casco gets a leadoff double, but the Reds leave him stranded there. He got 7 innings in the books, and the score is the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. Perry is at his fatigue point. He could technically go one more before he's fatigued. However, he's leading off this inning, so we're going to have Leo Cardenas pinch hit for him. And the next pitcher for the Twins will be Jim Merritt. But let's get Cardenas checked in. And Cardenas is batting here in the top of the 8th. He'll be facing Bob Perky. And he hits a fly ball to left fielder Wally Post. Makes routine work of that for the first out. So that didn't work. But Perry needed to go anyway. So the next pitcher for the Twins will be Jim Merritt. And he is a number 1 hitting pitcher. So we'll just flip this card over and turn it over. So we got the number 1 pitcher hitting card in Jim Merritt's spot. So he'll be ready to go in the bottom of the 8th. So right now there's 1 out, nobody on, and back to the top of the order with Zoilo Versalles. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 6 for Bob Perky in the second out of the inning. 2 outs, nobody on. Center fielder Jimmy Hall. Hall is 0 for 3. Make that 0 for 4 as he hits a ground ball to first baseman Gordy Coleman. He's going to jog over to the bag unassisted for the third out. The Twins go quietly 1-2-3 in the top of the 8th. And after 7.5 innings, it's the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. So Perky gets his 7th fatigue point. Or excuse me, no. I must have missed one because he should be at 8 after pitching in the top of the 8th. Okay, as we said, Jim Perry's day is done. And the new pitcher for the Twins will be Jim Merritt. Merritt in 1965 was 5-4 with a 3.16 ERA and 77 innings pitched. Okay, so Merritt's going to face Gene Freese here in the bottom of the 8th. And bottom of the 8th. And okay. So it'll be Gene Freese, Gordy Coleman, and John Edwards for the Reds here in the bottom of the 8th. Freese is 1 for 2. And look out. He hits a long, high fly ball to center fielder Jimmy Hall. He's back to the track, to the wall. It's way high, out of here, gone. A leadoff home run for Gene Freese, and the Reds are just pouring it on. It's now 7-0. Merritt gets his first fatigue point, the first batter he faces. My goodness, welcome to the game, Mr. Merritt. Excuse me. Nobody on, nobody out. Gordy Coleman scores now 7-0. Gordy Coleman hits a fly ball to center fielder Jimmy Hall. It's an X check. Hall is a 2. We roll a 7. And Hall makes the catch for out number 1. So there's 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. The Reds lead 7-0. There's catcher John Edwards, who is 0 for 3. This time he hits a ground ball to third baseman Harmon Killebrew. It's an X check. Killebrew's a 4. And that's an 11. And that is a 2-base error for Harmon Killebrew. First error of the game. That'll be an E5. And Edwards is in at second base with 1 out. Here's pitcher Bob Perky. And that's a strikeout. That is the first strikeout for Merritt. There were 2 away. So 2 outs, a man on second. Back to the top of the order for the Reds. Second baseman Don Blasingame. And Blasingame hits a double that's going to score another run. 2-out double, 2-out RBI double for Blasingame. And the Reds get Edwards home. And now it's 8-0. Merritt gets his second point. Fatigue point, that is. So a man on second with 2 outs. That man is Don Blasingame. And Eddie Casco's up to bat. And Casco pops this one up in the infield. Zoilo Versales is underneath that. Makes the catch for the 3rd out. But not before the Reds put 2 more on the board and now lead 8-0. Merritt gets his 3rd fatigue point. And speaking of fatigue points, Bob Perky is at 8. He, of course, is coming out here in the top of the 9th to see if we can get him a complete game shutout. All right, but he's going to face the heart of the order for the Twins. Tony Oliva, Harmon Killebrew, and Bob Allison. But Oliva grounds one to first baseman Gordy Coleman. He runs over to the bag unassisted for the first out here in the top of the 9th. 1 out, nobody on. Harmon Killebrew, who is 1 for 3. This time he hits a ground ball to second baseman Don Blasingame. He fires over quickly to Gordy Coleman for out number 3. And the Twins are down to their last out. And we'll see if Bob Allison can keep things alive. So 2 outs, nobody on here in the bottom of the 9th. The Reds lead 8-0. But there's still a bit of life here for the Twins because Allison hits a 2-out single. So he's on first with 2 outs. And catcher Earl Batty. But Batty hits a line drive directly at shortstop Eddie Casco, and this game is over. So the final score is Cincinnati Reds 8, Minnesota Twins nothing. See if we can get some totals for you. The Twins had no runs on five hits. He committed 1 error. The Reds had 8 runs on would you believe it, 4 hits? Let me double check that. 2, 3, 5 hits. Still, a lot of walks. Some runs were walked in, and they committed no errors. So the winning pitcher, of course, is Bob Perky, and the loss goes to Pascal. And the Reds stay atop of the hill. They're now up to 4 wins, only 1 game behind the 1950 Phillies, and they'll take on the 1953 Brooklyn Dodgers in game number 20. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me. Next time will be a return to Fast Action Racing, the 1991 Stock Car Project. But until then, take care.